It's time for another Next Fest. Josh is here, and they're providing a closer look at Machine Mind and then filling in the Baldur's Gate void with Solasta II. Then it's Mecca with demos for Mecha Break and Nitrogen Omega.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm here. Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm also there.
My name is Andy. I'm your dad. This is Video Game Tango. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, well, welcome back, most of us. Like Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah. Oh, I can't reach the other camera because it's pointed at you.
It's pointed right at me.
You might notice Nick isn't here today. He died again. He's starting to run out of lives. So if you could, please send him coins at our P.O. Box. Yep. Anyways, Nick is not joining us today. However, Josh and I still want to do a podcast.
That's right.
We are smack dab in the middle of Steam's Next Fest.
We got to bring some heat.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of heat.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
before you get hot.
Oh, even more heat. Now this is appreciative heat, so we really want it.
Yeah, reciprocal heat. So I do want to give a shout out. Our YouTube is kind of popping off now. These are kind of rookie numbers for what you would consider a successful YouTube channel, but
we're excited for it.
We're seeing some real growth, and we're getting some people joining our community, which is great, and people that are vocal. And I want to shout that out. So we got like another 30 something subs this week, which I really, really appreciate.
Love y'all. Thank you.
Our average view time is like 30 plus minutes right now.
That's incredible.
Which is craziness.
I can't even believe that.
So it seems like you guys like what we're doing. We're going to continue to do that. If there are ways that you can see that you can imagine us improving for you, let us know. But those YouTube comments are starting to pop off. So recent subs, I want to give a shout out to Lucas Yoshida, Chipotle Muncher, and the Fire Skeleton 13, and then some comments. Squiggles McJunior 199 says only 300 views, underrated.
Wow.
On our video.
Thank you, Squiggles.
Yes, thank you, Squiggles. Thank you, Squiggles McJunior. On our latest video, let's discuss, or not our latest, but our video, let's discuss I'm Sick of Fake Gamers by Alana Pierce. That was another one that was just you and I. That one is like being revisited. It's like every video upload she makes, we get more views on that video.
Bless her.
Yeah, thank you, Alana. We really appreciate you. And then on our latest one, which is I think we should see other PlayStations, Holly Bellwether says, maybe I should block this channel for that AI thumbnail. I just want to have a brief discussion real quick.
That thumbnail was rough.
Listen, it was rough, but it got the message across.
It was funny, but it makes you feel a way.
Well, yeah, it was. So it's two PlayStations touching each other over their bed in a hotel room, and a third lonely little PS1 sitting in the cuck chair.
Yeah, you know.
That's what it is. That's what I intended it to be. And I thought it was really funny.
It was funny.
Especially considering that we were talking about how everybody was bailing PlayStation as exclusive first party and starting to meander elsewhere, right? Like we're seeing almost all of the games that we talked about last week are coming out for PlayStation and PC, and in some cases Xbox and Switch.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 or 3 exclusives.
Yeah, there was 2 total exclusives during Sony's State of Play for the quarter.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just funny. They're like the developers, the publishers, they're philandering. I thought it was funny. Anyways. To address that, Holly Bellwether, I did leave you a comment in response. Listen, this is a passion project of ours. We don't make any money. Well, some money, but it doesn't even pay for the show as it is. That comes straight out of my pocket. I work a full-time job, and if I had the artistic ability or the monetary ability to pay an artist to do those thumbnails, I would love to. And I do often make custom thumbnails, but I had an idea, and when putting
You executed it beautifully.
Right, but only through the help of AI. If I had tried to do that myself, it would be a mess that you didn't understand. So, Listen, we talk about AI and how it's taking jobs, and I understand that another person could have done it, but I would have never had the capital to pay for somebody to have made it.
Is that what is upsetting? Is the AI, or I thought it was just the general nature of the thumbnail?
Yeah, maybe I should block this channel for that AI thumbnail. So so it's
okay.
We have. It's only an episode ago that we had a long form discussion on AI and its impact on the gaming industry and loss of jobs that it can create. So I think I get where you're coming from. If that's a sentiment, yes, you're right. In that sentiment. However, I would not have been paying an artist to do that anyways. I would have been stealing other people's artwork to make a thumbnail of my own. So, I mean, logistically speaking, it's what I had to work with.
Yeah.
And it got the point across, and I don't think anybody was hurt in the process. So I'm sorry you feel that way, but I genuinely mean this when we appreciate your feedback, positive or negative. As long as it's constructive, I appreciate it. If I were able to pay somebody to make that thumbnail, 100% would have. If I had the artistic ability myself, 100% would have.
If we were Critical Role, I mean, we wouldn't be using AI art.
Yeah,
but
and the moment we do have the ability to pay an artist, I'd prefer to be away from Fiverr. I would prefer like a dedicated artist.
Yeah,
100% will. If that were ever to be the case, 100%. But that's just out of the pocketbook at the moment.
We share your concerns with AI and what it's doing to artists. So
big time.
That is a real sentiment.
Definitely. Now let's get hot.
Yeah, now we're getting hot, getting spicy again. So the first game I want to talk about is Machine Mind. Now, right off the bat, you're like, oh, that's probably a puzzle game. You're wrong. It's not a puzzle game. It is a action, exploration, base building, RTS. It's a lot of words. I just threw right at you.
That's many words.
Many. It is being produced by developed by Chudo Yudo Games. Now they just released, I think it's called Folk Hero, just in October, and it got some pretty good buzz. So they're a newer developer, but this game looks like a lot of fun. You're in a post-apocalyptic, super heated desert. And you are starting off as just your little automated car, and then from there you build up your car. You make it bigger, you make it stronger. You're exploring the area, what the wasteland has to offer as far as bases and parts. It looks fun. I am looking forward to trying. I haven't tried it yet, but I am going to try out this demo this week and then report back to y'all my findings next week. RTS is really a growing medium again in video games. Everybody thought it was dead. It's not dead. So I am excited to give this a try. I really like the animation style on it, and it's cool to play a new. It'd be cool to play and try a new RTS, but that has more to do than just the standard build your base, send your man. There's a little bit more to it, and honestly, growing. I like it.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah,
fucking A.
It is supposed to be released like a full fat version at some point this year, but the demo's out now. So join me in trying it this week, y'all.
Yeah, and these demos are going on until the 3rd of March. So if you're listening to this on Friday when it comes out, you still have a few days to play some things. Speaking of a few days to play some things, I have gotten a good amount of Mecha Break in. Now, you have probably heard about this. Yes, you.
Yes.
Kevin. You've probably heard about this game because it blew the fuck up this week. Let's see. Steam Next Fest started 2 days ago, and on the day of the demo's release for Mecha Break, it was 4th most played game on Steam, only beat out by the things that are always at the top, which is, of course, PUBG, always, Counter-Strike, and Dota 2.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It beat out Marvel Rivals for concurrent players and
impressive.
Total players for the day.
Hell yeah, look at them go.
Yeah, that's huge.
Marvel Rivals is a beast right now.
Yeah,
so.
the absolute juggernaut. And to see it beat out Marvel Rivals, which is a competing hero shooter, essentially, is pretty crazy. Well, anyways, Mecha Break, like I said, is a hero shooter made by Chinese developer Amazing Sun Games. And it has all of the regular stuff that your Chinese hero shooter you would expect, like loot boxes and everything. But basically, you create your character. It's got a pretty decent little character creator. You start with a template, and you can modify that however you want, based on like presets. You're not too many sliders or anything like that. You can't go ham with it. Everybody's gonna look absolutely gorgeous, and it comes with jiggle physics, which is awesome. So you start as yeah, for sure. We are watching some of my gameplay footage on screen currently, and we're looking at the character creation right now. So you're a mech pilot. Your spaceship is under attack. You jump into a mech and you start the fight against incoming enemy threat. And that is the tutorial. The tutorial is the single player couple of missions. You kind of breeze through that. There's a little bit of story thrown at you, only enough just to give some meaning into what you're doing. And essentially, while mining for standard resources that turn into currency, some kind of weird threat is starting to take over mechs and is killing the pilot and powering it itself. So there's some kind of weird hive mind thing going on taking over mechs. Really, at the end of the day, story doesn't matter too much. This game comes chock-a-block with mechs. I think there's like 13 to start. You have 4 at your disposal right away. And even in the demo, you can earn more with the base currency from just playing the game.
Cool.
Yeah. Like we see here in my playthrough, I had 11,600 currency after some wins. Most of these are under 10,000. Like at least the first half of all the mechs are under 10,000 in cost. So relatively easily attainable. It does, of course, have all of the regular standard things like daily login bonuses. You get currency. You get it from loot boxes, from winning games. You can, of course, I'm sure you're going to be able to buy loot boxes if you so choose. It doesn't have like a key system, so you buy a loot box, you open it. It's not as complicated as something like CS:GO or CS2. So you just and you earn loot boxes just by playing the game. Also, the more you win, the more you get. There's a lot of mech customization in this. So not only do you have a bunch of mechs with pre-built loadouts, you can also change their sidearms and you can change the behavior of their main attacks and defenses. So there's a lot of variables happening here. Honestly, kind of too many to go through in a like short form explanation. So I'll leave it at that. Combat is third person, kind of over the shoulder. Yeah, Josh is smirking right now because there is some gratuitous booty and booby action from my character going on screen right now. But
the jiggle physics are real, y'all.
Yeah. What I have on screen right now, sorry for you audio listeners, what I have on screen right now is I'm jumping into a node and collection resource style game. There's 3 different versions of the game that are going to be playable at launch. There's going to be 3v3, 6v6, and a 60 PvPvE mode.
Big.
You can play the 3v3 or 6v6 in ranked or casual mode. The 6v6 seems to be like the main casual or the main ranked mode. I was playing ranked. I won my first few games. I actually haven't lost a game yet, so I'm ranking up rather quickly. I couldn't tell you what my rank is currently. I don't remember. I don't care. I've been having a blast playing this game. One thing that I was said recently is I don't feel like jumping into like a competitive PvP game at the moment.
Whoopsie daisy.
I was wrong. This has been so much fun. The mix of ranged and melee combat that I was able to get in with just the starting mech was a lot of fun. There's snipers, there's support, there's heavy, there's like massive artillery. There's a good solid mix of the base mechs with different customizations that you can make on them that make this game pretty dynamic. And also, I think there's going to be a massive skill ceiling. I feel very competitive while this game is new. I feel like this game has a skill ceiling that's so astronomically high. Like at the beginning of new seasons, you're just gonna get your shit kicked in if you're not playing this game regularly and in a semi-competitive fashion. Because honestly, the sheer amount of movement and abilities and being able to recognize what's going on screen simultaneously is going to take some real practice. But also, it's a crazy, chaotic, fun mess for somebody that's also just jumping into it for the first time, because the world right now is just jumping into it for the first time. And dude, I've only played a few game types so far. I've been kind of getting the same maps over and over. I've played like 3 or 4 different maps. I know there's more than that. And that means I've only been getting like 3 or 4 different game types. They have your standard, I mean, basically, if it's in Overwatch, it's a game type in Mecha Break. It's kind of the same for all of these hero shooters. And man, the visuals are just fantastic. I do get tired of being screamed at by a Chinese AI woman all the time, because it happens like a lot. But I really enjoy the melee combat, especially it seems like when hits connect, it's like devastating to the enemy player. It's also a game that I'm weirdly good at to start. I have been playing against real human players and doing very well. Again, we're all getting started, but I even came in on day 2 where I expected to kind of get my ass handed to me for a little while. But in my very first game, I got MVP. So it's a game that I feel like I kind of locked into right away and started having fun with kind of right off the bat. Now, that said, the control scheme is pretty daunting. It is going to take, like, after a few hours of playing this game, I still have a lot of learning to do. I'm still working on customizing my controls so they feel a little bit better. I did find myself, I'm actually, even in this footage, playing on controller. Where I'm usually a hardcore mouse and keyboard stan. The aiming is a little bit sluggish, like Gears of War kind of sluggish. And the way this mech that I'm piloting works is you don't click and shoot. You actually click and hold. And it charges up your shot, and when you let go, the shot goes off. And I felt like the tracking enemies and making that happen on mouse was
Harder,
not. It had a real learning curve to it. Ultimately, mouse and keyboard's probably going to be better, but I felt more comfortable on the controller, weirdly enough, in a third-person shooter, that I was still. Again, I got MVP in my first game. The footage that I have recorded that's showing up on screen right now is my second or third game, and I get second in this. I have, I think, the most kills, but I didn't claim as many points as I could have on the map. So I find this game to be incredibly fun. It does have a rough start. Like I said, the control scheme is a little bit wonky. The PvE portion that they have that kind of teaches you the controls and gives you the base tutorial, it leaves a little bit to be desired. If they were to now, there are tutorial maps. You can just jump into a mech into a tutorial island and play with your mech for a little while. But if they had more comprehensive tutorials on like throwing some AI enemies, giving you invincibility or something like that for the duration, and giving you like a sandbox mode to practice in, that would be really nice. I think that would be more advantageous than giving you a tutorial that gives you the story, because I don't think the story matters that much. So the game shines in its gameplay. The menus are a little bit complicated, but not overly complicated. They're complicated because they need to be. There is a lot that can be done in this game as far as the customization of your mech, and especially being that you can own all of them and you can change many variables on all of them. The menus do tend to be complicated, but it's out of necessity, essentially. I do think the user experience in the menus is solid. I didn't really have problems with it. It is going to take a little while to fully understand the game and what you're looking at. That said, I don't know how much of a pay-to-win experience this is going to be yet. Again, this is just the demo. The pay-to-win or the pay-to-play model isn't out yet. So I'm not sure how egregious that's going to be, but I hate those models, but as much as I hate them, I don't think that's going to detract me from this game too much. I'll probably bore of it before anybody's too overpowered. Not because it's a bad game by any means. That's just how I experience games. I would like to see a little bit better translation. There are some translation errors in the game, and I would like to get some Western voices, specifically English voices in the game, because like I said, I was being yelled at by a Chinese AI lady for a lot of the game, and I don't know what she's saying. I assume she's giving me all very appropriate warnings in the game, but I can't understand her, so it's a little bit rough. I'm actually going to play a snippet of audio here right now.
对方搭乘时会使车辆逆向行驶，车辆依次通过3处信号控制台，才能到达中央车间，完成护送任务。
It's kind of constant.
驾驶人同步稳定。本次作战需沿指定路径推进运输车到达中。本次作战需拆除特鲁亚战舰投放在天文台的地层破碎机，若超时未拆除。本次作战
The radiation from your mech's core is giving you super cancer.
Get out now. But yeah, other than a couple small gripes, it was a lot of fun, man. Like pure unadulterated fun. I really don't have a whole lot of notes. The control UX. So when you are changing your keybinds, could be a little bit better. Based on when it shows you the controller description of what a button does, I don't know what all of them do because they are very generic descriptors. So I think that could be a little bit better. I think that's just a translation issue, though. I think once that's figured out, it'll be fine. But man, it's a lot of fun. Like you feel like you're piloting a mech. I
was going to say that's one of the things I like right off the bat. Like a thing about mech games that kind of breaks my immersion is that everything else in the level is giant to give you something to do or whatever in your mech, and you wind up feeling like you're just a dude in Power Ranger armor moving around a thing. But like the trees, the scaling, all of that seems very appropriate to make me feel like I'm in a mech doing the thing.
Yeah.
And also there's some superstructures there that of course make you feel, again, smaller, that you can play around on. I also really like the pacing of the combat, because that's a huge problem for me with a lot of the mech style fighting games, is that the combat just seems so fast paced in it. It's hard for me to follow or be able to play. Whereas something like this, it definitely has that, maybe a little bit quicker than your standard hero shooter, but it has that hero shooter pace. So I like both of those things.
I won't say that doesn't happen here, because definitely there's a lot going on screen. When right now we're watching gameplay of a new player playing, so I may not be as fast or able to exploit game mechanics as easily as somebody that's seasoned at the game. So I may not, like, my gameplay footage may not be fully indicative of what this game looks like when people get used to it. So there's a lot happening up on screen at all times, and when you're playing and not casually observing, it does feel like a lot. Like during this gameplay, I find myself in a weather event that's hurting me, and I don't know that that's happening. Not because the game isn't doing a good job of telling me, but because I am looking at so many things on screen going on at once that I'm having a hard time discerning where the damage is coming from, because you're getting constantly pelted with laser fire and rockets and stuff all the time. So I feel like that is something that you can learn and practice, though. I don't think that's an issue with the game, because as I played more, I did start identifying better where the damage was coming from, what was happening on screen, and I did have an easier time identifying where damage was coming from. In fact, what the scene that I was just talking about is happening right here. I end up in these like weird tornadoes. I didn't know what they were, to be fair. It turns out they're a weather event when you successfully mine the resource that we're trying to mine on this level. At any rate, it's like I said, I think the skill ceiling is going to be really high. It's a game that seems like it has like an unexplored complexity during its demo phase. And it looks like there's probably going to be a lot of different metas. And like right now, the meta seems to be everybody plays really heavy classes or they play the one that can turn into a jet. There is a mech that can turn into a jet and can move across the map really quickly. I tend to like a little bit more of the middle of the road, decently mobile, decent amounts of damage, a little bit more effective in melee than in ranged, is kind of where I prefer it. And the base starter mech that they give you actually caters to my taste very, very well. I am kind of a basic bitch, and this is a basic bitch mech that I really enjoyed quite a bit. I have yet to play with other mechs. I've actually unlocked a couple mechs through the currency and haven't played any of the ones the game gives to you by default. So I feel like there's a lot to still be explored there. So I can't really give my opinion on whether the game holds up for other mechs or whether that's just going to be a completely subjective thing. I don't know yet. But this is a game that has been very good, and I absolutely intend on playing some more. Like tonight when we finish the podcast, I'm going to have a hard time just going straight to bed and not playing at least another couple hours of this bad boy. The only reason I wasn't playing it all day today is because I was editing videos to get ready for the podcast. It's a fun time, and I think you should definitely check out the demo. It's free on Steam during Next Fest, so I really do think you should check it out. Again, that's coming later this year, unannounced 2025, and it's by Amazing Sea Sun Games. It's called Mecha Break.
Oh, yeah. The game I want to talk about, also out on Next Fest right now, so it has an available demo, is Solasta II. Now, I missed the first game, and so I don't know much about it. I did check out some a Reddit thread about it real quick, and people said that it was pretty fun, but had pretty weak dialogue. Now, they also said in this same Reddit thread that the dialogue is better so far in the demo. So, looking up. Now, what I found interesting about it right away is I've spent literal days playing BG3 and literal perhaps years of my life playing D&D. So when a game that is steeped in fantasy, has that familiar rule set, comes along, I perk up a little bit, like a little meerkat, poke my head out the hole. And this game kind of caught my attention. I didn't see a lot of gameplay, but its trailer had some really cool visuals. It has the rule set that I'm familiar with. So guys, this made my demo list. I'm going to try out this demo this week, give it a try, and let y'all know what I think. So you are from Tactical Adventures. You're going to be in a mana-infused land, a dark force led by the enigmatic Shadwin. I have no idea who Shadwin is, but he doesn't sound like a cool person. Threatens Neokos so you got to bring your party of adventurers again. That standard kind of BG3 format that we're familiar with. That what is it? Divinity. Anyway, it's become more popular in recent years. So, oh boy, that's gonna bug me. I can't remember.
Are you talking about Divinity Original Sin?
Yes, Divinity Original Sin, like in very kind of a similar style. There, got that like I said, that TTRPG rules.
It's definitely like a tabletop like.
Yeah. So if you've already played BG3 and you're thinking about doing yet another playthrough, maybe try this instead. This could be that filler until the next great RPG comes out. This could take its place. Not take BG3's place, let's be real. Well, but give you something in that similar vein to go after, to try.
If you're jonesing for more BG3, you're not getting any more BG3.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen.
It might just be worth giving it a shot. Larian has already come out and said that there will not be any more additional content to BG3. Now, not to say that they won't go further with the Baldur's Gate franchise later on down the pipeline, but there are no immediate plans for it. So, like, if you're really jonesing for, and your D&D group only gets together once every 2 weeks and not enough.
And you got an itch. This might just be your scratch right here.
Yeah, or if you're just into tabletop games, like you've probably played the Pathfinder games to death. You've probably played Baldur's Gate to death. You know, it's another one. Why not? Give it a shot. Well, the last game I want to talk about this evening is. So I was looking at top trending, and other than porn games, I saw Mecha Break, and I was like, that was an instant download. And then I was like, I'm going to play something that I wouldn't normally. And this is kind of it's hard to explain terribly well, at least in my vernacular. But for all intents and purposes, it's almost a tactics game. It's like Tactics Light with a few other mechanics. That game is Nitrogen Omega. They are the creators of, they're Destiny Bit, and they're the creators of Dice Legacy, a game that's gotten mixed reviews. So I was like, well, you know what? Let's check this out. It's at least going to be podcast worthy, right? And definitely was. I ended up actually eating into my Mecha Break time playing this over last night and this morning. Man, I was really surprised by how much fun I had with this game, but not at first. Much like Mecha Break, I wasn't impressed right off the bat, because the game just kind of throws you on a map and says, go, with very little tutorial, gives you very little understanding of the game. And yeah, it was a bit jarring at first, and my first couple combats didn't go successfully. It wasn't until my third restart that I was like, okay, this is starting to sink in. So again, Nitrogen Omega pops you out on just an overworld map in an airship. The only points of interest are settlements. In these settlements are the general store, the inn, the fixer, the hospital, and the general store. So let's start with the inn. The inn is where you can recruit pilots for your mech. Sometimes called drivers, I believe, in here. The fixer is where you can go accumulate contracts. The general store is going to be where you can pick up items for your mech, items for your party. There's also a gas station where you have like a little gas mini game. Like as the gas ticks up, so does your cost, and you can get like better cost per per gas amounts based on where you stop it. Then there's a hospital. You can heal people. There's 4 different health conditions. There's healthy, wounded, gravely wounded, and dead. But that doesn't matter so much because you can always recruit others. However, you are going to need at least 4 pilots to pilot your mech. The mech is what this is all about. At the end of the day, your pilot's happiness, your pilot's friendships with each other, the gas that you have in your airship, all leads to combat with your mech. So what we have on the screen right now is showing a little bit of mech management before we get into combat. That is important. In between every combat, you're going to want to make sure your mech is repaired. You're going to want to make sure that you've equipped your mech appropriately, especially if you've gotten weapons and armors to be upgraded. You can also do things like paint and customize your mech. So anybody that's into like mecha stuff, this isn't overly complicated. It's actually relatively simple. As far as customization goes, it's basically just how you want it to play based on the armor set that you're wearing and the weapons that you're carrying, and color. Relatively simple, but also cool in its style and also cool, I think, in its simplicity. Let me get to my notes here real quick. So the combat. The music score is awesome for this game. It's simple, but it's really cool in that during the different phases of combat, the score will change. So it'll be a little bit crazier during some phases and a little bit more muted during others. It's actually really cool. I actually do have a sample of it right here that we can listen to for just a moment. So that's kind of your basic menu music during your planning phase. We'll come back to that music later once we get into a resolution phase. So combat starts with the planning phase. It's turn-based combat, kind of. Your moves are placed on a timeline. Every enemy gets a timeline. You can have multiple enemies on a map. Those enemies are scattered throughout a 4 quadrants, northwest, east, and south, and can be in any of those at any time based on their movement. They do have to spend a pip of movement in order to move a square, or they can make special attacks that sometimes move them to other squares. But it's all about setting up on a timeline as efficiently, proficiently, and defensively or offensively as can be, dependent on the enemy. So the enemy takes their turn first. They place something on the timeline, an action on the timeline, and then you get to go next, and then it goes back and forth until everybody's out of turns. It does tell you how many actions, rather. It does tell you how many actions you have and how many actions the enemies can have in total, so you can kind of get a feel for what you might be able to do, and then change that on the fly as actions, or as you determine your actions based on the enemy's determined actions as they come out on the board. It's really cool though. Like one of the things that you can plan for is doing a scan. If you have a member of the or a pilot of the mech that can do the scan ability, you can see exactly what they're going to be doing for 3 pips in the timeline. Ooh. So say you know that the enemy is going to move because that's what it says on timeline. Once you scan that area, though, on the timeline, it will tell you that they dash toward your square. It'll even tell you like whether they're going northwest, east, or south. And then you can probably plan to do like an evasive maneuver or maybe hit them with a melee attack because now they're in melee range because they've moved up to you. It's actually really cool in that way. Did I mention that all of the combat is done like fully animated in an anime style, and it's really well done. It's really cool. So as you take your actions, you're getting little snippets of your characters doing their work. And then during the resolution phase, the second phase of combat, you're getting like all of the actions taking place that you did in the planning phase. So it's really cool. Let's go to the music during the resolution phase real quick. So it picks up a little bit, like the tempo, just like extra instruments kick in. It gets a little bit louder than it did during the planning phase. It's really cool, man. This game has style in spades. Well, along with the combat and everything that has to do with your mech, you have 4 pilots that all cohabitate in your airship together, right? Well, not only do you have to manage their happiness, you have to manage their friendships. So what I've got up on screen right now for everybody watching currently is I have 2 of my pilots that aren't good friends with each other yet. I'm going to have them do yoga together as one of the activities. You get activity tokens that allow you to do activities in your airship by winning combats. It looks like you get 4 for every win, which may seem like a lot of activities potentially, considering you only have 4 pilots. However, in some cases, you really have to make smart decisions on how you're going to spend your activity tokens in doing activities with your pilots. So there's a lot to balance. Not only is their mood something that impacts combat and their ability to learn, so does their friendship. So during combat, it'll tell you if your pilots are beginning to worry because they're worried about the actions of another pilot. Right? Now, if they're good friends, it's way less chance that they're going to worry. It's also less chance that they're going to make mistakes in battle because there's synergy between all 4 pilots of your mech. Because the pilots, it's not like they're discrete pilots. One pilot to the mech at one time. They're all controlling different parts of the mech simultaneously. So getting them not only just making them happy, but making them work together better helps things like cohesion during combat, but also making sure that their mood is elevated means you earn more XP towards the skills that they utilize during combat. So it's really cool. I really do like the mix of like the balance that you have to strike in making sure that you keep everybody happy, but also, spark new friendships. I like that during these phases, additionally, you can have random events happen, like sparked inspiration where somebody learned something new for the battlefield and their skill in driving goes up, or their skill in gunnership goes up. Stuff like that is just really cool. The fact that like managing these people outside gives you benefits in multipliers at the end of combat is really neat. So it isn't just go between combats, make combat happen. It's also train pilots, make them happy, have them work together in synchronicity. And to be honest, in my third playthrough, I didn't have any of my pilots die, which was really important to me because, like, I am getting to know my pilots, what their likes are during downtime and stuff like that. That changes if you're to go to Fool's Inn and hire a new pilot because somebody died. And then they're starting friendships with everybody all over again. So they're at best neutral with the rest of your crew, which is a downside. So you have to make really smart moves in combat because they can impact the game outside of combat, and you have to make really smart moves outside of combat because that impacts how your combat goes. On top of being able to equip your mech differently based on the playstyle that you want, because there's no wrong way to equip your mech. You might want them to be really fast and mobile and not do a lot of damage, or a huge tank that takes a lot of damage from enemies, or somewhere in between. It's really cool, man. And then the complexities that come in battle, where you have 3 enemies fighting against you. 2 of them are ranged and 1 is mixed range and melee, or 2 of them are melee and 1 of them is ranged. It's really cool dynamics, especially when working on the timeline and guessing where enemies might move or where they drop mines. So thinking ahead of, I need to move next turn before they detonate the mines in my zone. It's all super cool. Lots of planning and lots of balancing stuff. I was really surprised by this game. I had literally never heard of it before, and to be honest, it just kind of looked like a weeby mech game to me when I first picked it up, and that's kind of how it felt too when I first started playing. But this game grew on me really quickly, and then I ended up spending hours on this thing. Really enjoyed myself. I do think that it needs, like I said, everything's fully animated during the resolution phase of combat, especially. I do think there could be some more unique animations and just a better variety of animations. I do think that the UI could use a little bit of work. Like when you're in your airship, instead of having like a solid, easy to navigate menu, you like simple up and down, left and right. You have diagonals that you have to hit and stuff like that, because the way the camera points at your mech, your gym is up that way and your first floor is down this way, and it's kind of a little funky. I feel like they were really trying to nail like a feeling and an artistic vibe with that. To be honest, if I could toggle a setting that says like simplified menus for your airship, I would much prefer that, because it would match the simplified menus that are in combat and the simplified menus that are kind of everywhere. Again, man, it's really cool because like when you're balancing your currency, you got to make sure that you have enough to continue to upgrade your mech, but you also have to make sure that you have enough to be able to repair your mech, to be able to afford gas, to afford the fuel that's going to allow you to move across the map. Like you have to keep so many things in mind every time you're making an action in the game that I really appreciate how all of the individual mechanics are relatively simple, but it's a sum of all of its parts at the end of the day that makes it like complex and provokes thought and planning. And I really enjoy that. I didn't think that I was going to be as into this game as I am, but this is like a no-brainer buy for me. It's a no, I can't say that I would recommend it for everybody. I don't think it's for everybody. It hit it scratched an itch that I didn't know I had for video games. So I definitely encourage you to try. Now, not only is this available on Steam Next Fest and will be available in 2025 later this year on Steam, TBD, it's also going to be on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
And that might be where this game shines. Because, again, I ended up playing this game with a controller. And this being that combat sessions only last like between 4, actually probably even less than that, like 3 and 7 minutes each. I could see this being a game that I play in between breaks at work.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, like, man, it's really cool. I think the map needs to get bigger. I think there needs to be more animations. I think there needs to be, as good as the music is, I think there needs to be more variety in music. I also think there needs to be more variety in what you can do in settlements. I also would like to see a little bit more when the characters are interacting with each other. It's all in silence, and that's really weird. Like, I'll even play it for the video listeners. When these guys are doing yoga, you should get some like emotive sounds or something at least, but all you get is the music and the ambience that's a little funky, to be honest. So yeah, there's little nitpicking stuff that I think needs to be improved, but for the most part, yeah, this is full sound on.
Oh.
Yeah, man, it's just a little bit weird.
Yeah.
So what you were hearing was the game, and that's funky, considering that like there's a lot of sounds and ambience and ambient noise. Even when you're in the gaming lounge in your airship, you can hear it. It sounds like you're in the middle of an arcade. So it's really weird. I think it needs a little bit more polish. I think it needs just a little bit more work. I gave feedback to the developers in that manner and told them like, this is what I think needs to be improved. Not that it's a bad game. I think in its core, it's a great game. Some other notable things before we go. This game is also apparently going to be multiplayer with like a persistent map, which I can't imagine yet. That's kind of like a really crazy thought to me. Let's see here if I can find it in the Steam page. Yeah, so play as solo or join a persistent online world. Play single player or join other players in an asynchronous online experience where every character is unique. Your crew is a one-of-a-kind permadeath, your crew is one of a kind, and permadeath works on a global scale. Every character is generated on the server and scattered across the world. Trade loot and pilots with other players. Assemble a team of your dreams, knowing that every character is unique. Share your crew's legacy and write their history together with other players. Duel in friendly PvP. Build your strategy and outsmart your opponents in a battle system designed from the ground up for multiplayer. So the only reason that I clued in to the fact that there might be multiplayer, because I didn't read the Steam blurb, I just played the game, is that during the demo, it has you choose single player. It's the only choice that you can make when you're starting the game up, but it has you choose single player. So it does look like there's going to be some maybe pretty like in-depth multiplayer action on this. I don't know how that's exactly going to be implemented, so I don't know if it's going to be good, but it's an exciting prospect. And yeah, man, it's just it way more complex than I thought it could be. Again, every mechanic is simple, but the game is the sum of its parts, and all together makes for like a really complex, thought-provoking game. And also, it's gorgeous. I mean, everything is like hand-drawn, custom anime art. It's really cool.
Like an onion. It's got layers.
It's got layers.